Was everybody able to sign
What's
in?
up, everybody?
Yeah?
We are here again at Galileo. We're here doing the stream. This screen's going to be a little wonky because we're going to have, not wonky, we're not going to be able to see what's going on in the screen. We're going to have the list of the last meetings up here. I know there's nobody in here yet, but we got the live stream up, so we're good to go. Cool. Move the camera however you want, whatever you need. And then the chat's going to be however. I'm going to go to Drive.
The doc?
Yeah. Because it's shared with me.
Can you do? Oh yeah, you can actually.
Yeah.
So you can split screen it if you need to. But, I mean.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it. Whatever you need to.
Why is it angled?
I appreciate it.
It's down here.
It's cool. He gave me like some older stuff too, you know, like the green velvet, like that, just something interesting. But the flower itself is really crazy. It's insane.
Interesting.
But yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. One second. Let me get the link for you guys. Gotta get the link. Gotta get the link. Share. Copy. Got it. All right.
Can you pull the Google Docs from your phone? Are
Yeah.
you using your phone?
On and off. What's up?
That way, because I don't think we're going to be able to see it.
Okay. Yeah. Because we got so much light. It's all right.
Unless we turn off the lights, it could be too dark.
Yeah, it'll be too dark. Ask Fausto if he can turn off the front row at least. If he can, that'd be cool. Move this way. Okay.
Cool. That'll work. I don't know. King amongst kings.
Try to listen loud and when I go.
We can't do it either. Okay. Just so it's a little easier for people to see the. Yeah.
Can you hold this while we're
Oh, sure. Chad.
What's up? Going back? All right.
That's a lot better.
It'll be as good as it's going to get.
No worries. All right. So, oh, good.
Trying to make it to where it's not so janky, freaking looking.
So janky.
It's gonna be crooked.
That's all right, dude. Don't worry about it.
Whatever. That's gonna have to.
There's settings in there. I don't want to. Yeah, I fucked it the last time, but I'm not gonna fuck it right now. So this is ready. We're ready. You and Nicole are ready. We'll get started. All right. I'll let Val and.
What's up, everybody? We're live. Nicole.
Oh, Nicole.
Yeah, I disconnected. I just plugged it back in.
Yeah, it'll just take a second.
It'll take a second. No worries.
It'll kick back.
Well, in that
Get
case,
this.
Okay, cool. There we are. All right. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Sorry we're a little late on starting, but a lot of technical difficulties, and we had a couple more people come in, so I'm glad we started a little late. So thank you all for showing up. This is the third meeting we've had so far. We've so far gone to Las Cruces and Sunland Park. Today is the Albuquerque meeting.
Yay!
So I appreciate all of you that have showed up today. We are going to be live streaming this if you guys want to watch it later, or if you know somebody that does want to be here but can't, they can watch live stream. I think I might try to do Instagram here in a second, but I don't want to take up any more of the time. I have these two wonderful ladies right here who are actually going to lead the meeting and going to be asking you all the questions. So ladies, further ado.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy, for those of you that have not met me yet.
I'm
And
Nicole. Nice to see you guys.
and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much again, like Chad was saying. First, I just wanted to start off by saying that we're not here to represent one company. We're all here to represent ourselves and give everyone a platform to be able to speak out on things that have worked for them in the industry, things that haven't worked for them. We may not agree on everything, and that's fine, but let's be civil. Yes? Everybody cool?
And then I'd like to give some background into what it is that we're doing exactly. And so what we're doing is that we are trying to hit as many corners of the state as we can before the legislative session coming up this upcoming year. And so we are going and collecting data, pros and cons, and the way we are formatting this is in a town hall format inspired by what the Drug Alliance was doing, Drug Policy Alliance, my bad. And so in that, I would also like to introduce Val, because she was the one that was doing all of that groundwork years and years and years before it was even medical. So this is Val, and then of course Karina. Thank you so much. This team's awesome.
I am a New Mexican that moved to Northern California for 25 years, but I'm back in New Mexico. I've been here about 2.5 years.
Yes.
Happy to be part of this really amazing chance that we have to show the world what New Mexico has and can. So, good job, everyone.
Yeah.
And our goal, of course, is to make sure that we can be exemplary in our policies and what we do. So I would like to start off with the positives first. With pros, we'll go over that. And if you see anything on the screen, it's okay. Make sure you can say it again, because that means that it's something that people are really believing is necessary or is good or is working, whatever the case might be. So don't be shy to speak up. And with that, I'll go ahead and start the pros. Tracy's going to be writing them down, and I'll start on this side of the room.
And we want to hear the pros from you guys. You guys are going to run this town hall. We want to hear.
No speak. It's okay, you don't have to speak. So whoever would like to speak on this side, and then we can go like this. I would like to say that we do this in a form where it's data collecting, right? So we want to limit it maybe at 90 seconds per person, and we will save time for personal testimonies after. So that way we could just stick to getting the facts at first. All right.
The question was about pros, about what's going on in the industry now.
Yeah, pros, people that what we believe is working. So.
Anybody want to start over there?
Not everybody all at once, guys.
Go ahead.
One thing is continued access. We're definitely improving access to different products to consumers of all sorts, and that seems like it's very happening. Also, not losing the ability for people to grow their own plants is also very nice. everyone should be, have that opportunity if we choose to use it.
That's a good one, yes. The fact that we're allowed to grow our medicine at home is amazing. Good growth. Alrighty.
And just, I mean, just so that you guys know, this is your chance to like, you know, talk about what you would like to see. The legislation is like listening. This is like what you want to see in the cannabis industry. How do you want to form your industry here in New Mexico? Because now's the time to speak up. You can't speak up after the bill's passed and you're pissed off.
Right, and you know, it's like, the bill is such a baby bill, the CRA is such a baby bill. So there's many things that can be changed, there's many things that we now see that's working. You may see things that are working, and we want to hear what's not working for you so that we can continue to improve the CRA.
So I would say like accountability or being custodian funds through people who provide this fund, like that, and be able to just use that is very beneficial for growers.
That's a good one, thank you. Yeah, and this is awesome too because the meetings, they're open to anybody in the industry, retail, manufacturing, and I can say that I myself have heard of pros and cons that I would have never thought of before because I am not so personally involved in cultivation. So we really get to hear a whole area of things, and that clone grow is a good one. Do you have it down?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And Valerie and Chad have direct link to senators, representatives. Chad was approached by a representative in the Sunland Park representative, because they wanted to hear what kind of data we were gathering. So they definitely want to hear. And then Val and Chad have been working in policy together since 2016. So they are really doing a great job in spearheading this and being the voice.
Absolutely. Okay.
Like a shout out to the state, like, you know, for hiring more inspectors and, you know, starting to crack down a little bit harder. Could it be better? Like, yes, 100%. But gotta start somewhere, so.
That's a good one. Okay. Yes.
I think having wide open licensing, like other states where they had quotas, there's no way that if we did that in New Mexico, they'd be able to get it all connected.
Right.
And that there's a con with that too, right?
Right.
And later, but there's so many businesses that would never have their shop if New Mexico didn't remove barriers and make licensing wide open application easy for everyone.
Definitely. Thank you. All right. Is anyone else feeling inspired? Yes?
Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit on what Ben said. I really like the micro-business structure and opportunity that it allows really many of the Mexicans to have licensed operators. I don't know of any other state with a lower fee for their social equity license. So New Mexico, I think, did a good job.
That's a good point. Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, sir?
One of the things that I've been thinking about and proposing, I've been in farming for years, is I don't understand why the New Mexico Department of Agriculture is not more involved in having some oversight of what's going on with the CCD, because they have no clue when we talk to them as farmers. You get the deer in the headlight look, and they have no clue. And I think that if we had people from the Department of Agriculture kind of involved with them and maybe helping them in the area of farming to understand what farming is all about, it could change the industry for us as farmers. Like this whole thing with clones. I mean, I know chili starts for years for people up and down the Rio Grande Valley because it made a difference. And now when it comes to clones, they're saying that they don't want them. How do they expect farmers to put stuff in their fields? Especially those that have a very small window of opportunity to grow. You know, like up north, they definitely need starts. So I think if the Department of Agriculture was more involved, then it would change the way they're looking at things agriculturally, because they're not doing that.
Okay. That's a good point. I went ahead and wrote that one down for the con list, but thank you for go ahead and bringing that up. Okay.
I did want to say that bringing that up with the agriculture department has been something we've heard over and over. and it's definitely something that I believe is a necessary thing, because I would really like to see the hemp lab be available to the CCD labs for testing. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
I like this town hall meeting as a pro because.
Thank you.
Hopefully dictate what could be as far as policies, regulation, legality type measures. So we appreciate you guys and your efforts to put us collectively together and make this voice out. So thank you. This is one of the
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for attending and making it a success.
Yeah, thank you all for attending. And real quick, think of something that you like about the industry that you'd really like to stay. You know, like think of that too. That's part of the pros. Like, you know, what is something that if they were to change it tomorrow, you'd be really fucking pissed.
The medical program.
There you go. Yeah. Let's protect the medical program. Thank you. That's a great example. So that's another way to think about it. Is, you know, what is something that you like now, and if they were to change it, it'd be kind of shitty. What's up? Reciprocal. Yeah, reciprocal patience. So I think that's great too. The fact that we have, or we allow other states or people with cannabis cards from other states to participate here in New Mexico and not pay taxes. That's something that we fought for a lot when I was a medical cannabis patient, when I was doing advocacy work, and I'm glad it went through, and I'm glad it's still here today, because a lot of people do benefit from that. Anyone else?
One of the things I would like to see the same is the fact that we don't have a wholesaler to go through like the state of California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That kind of data helps too. So that way, if something pops up, you can be like, no, they actually like that. Crap, what was it again? How'd you word it?
Like that you don't have to. Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to get a distro license.
Yeah, or you can sell directly to the dispensary, so you don't have to.
Okay.
And you don't have to.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So what? Vertical supply chain. Okay, that's good. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna try to not talk too much, but what you said about the testing lab, the state right now is validating testing for cannabis.
Right.
They have product, but they're planning on opening the state testing lab for not just hemp, but cannabis.
Oh, that's
Oh.
First quarter of
That's
next
great to
year.
hear.
That
That's
is
awesome.
something so close to my heart, I think.
That's something that we
I
need.
mean, I
Yeah,
certainly,
definitely.
The one in Albuquerque, the testing lab.
I don't know if it's in Albuquerque or Santa Fe, I just know that they requested a bunch of flour and concentrates to validate.
Doug?
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Consumption lounges, if the consumer can have like a, a fun space to do so. Like for him, something like that, maybe like a consumption lounge in that way with that. Seeing that like the coffee shops in Amsterdam, we get that, things like that. It's really nice for people, especially when they're coming to the scene. Nice welcoming place for them to be.
I agree. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you think it's something that we need to expand on too? Kind of, open the box a little bit more on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it should definitely be easier for people to consume in a safe way and responsibly without worrying too much about what the CCD is going to do. I mean, there's culture, we're all from, cannabis culture one way or another, and in other places, there's a lot more free form consumption, being able to, see what the other people are doing and the industry, things like that, without having to go through that.
Okay, definitely. Thank you for that.
Thank you, yeah. Provides a good space for people to consume medicine where there's no kids, people that are, a lot of people live with people who are in the military that can't risk it. So consumption lounges are great, yes.
Love consumption lounges. That was my baby when I worked on the SM-105.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I have heard now that some of the consumption lounges, instead of just being consumption lounges, are starting to have bingo parties, and they're starting to have other things going on that are more interactive, so that it's like the coffee shop atmosphere, but with stuff happening,
That's great. We stepped in and made it cooler.
Right.
Anyone else?
So we're a big proponent of outdoor consumption.
Okay.
Yes, at Front Porch, obviously, like 5 acres of compassionate use you know, we really support not being forced to go back to the visual. You know, like the stigma of the visual is still real.
Yep.
So you were only really outside of the same thing. So I give you guys props for being supporting, you know, talking to them about that. And I know there will be a little opening down there of really just really.
Yeah.
You know, the noise or the smoke pollution is really quite minimal as compared to like the minimal industry.
Yeah, I try to remind people that, you know, not every cannabis user is a smoker. You know, that you have some that, you know, do nothing but dab, some that vape, pen, you have edible people. You know, not everybody's just going to be token up, you know. So that's one thing I have to try to remind people too is like, don't just think of it as everybody's smoking. There's going to be mocktails, ice cream, infused food, you know, that there's going to be stuff that's non-smokable there too. So yeah, the smoking is going to be very minimal. So yeah, I agree.
So I just feel like, you know, mentioning that, bringing that back up, another mission of ours is children in the garden. And without saying that we want our children to be around our leaves, we are their parents, and we want our children around our plants and in our garden and our lifestyle. And so, you know, potentially those people with children being volunteers, but also, you know, really having education on what is the biggest danger. And it's just exposure of pesticides, essentially in the garden, and that's really a whole other, you know, locked up regulation and compliance issue. So, I try not to draw too much attention to it, but we are family friendly, and you know, we have designated areas that our children can go in, and that's really, it's really, you know, a direct adverse effect to what we're trying to promote, and that's really.
And a huge portion of that, to add to it, is education. I know we preach that all the time, but I think it's really important for us to never forget that education is limitless. It's not limitless. You know what I mean? Like you literally can all learn all the time, and it's a part of breaking that stigma is teaching our kids. You know, making sure they know. Exactly. Exactly.
My life has been about in gardening, and I know really just kind of like saying, hey, what's the reason why? I believe that Oregon removed it during COVID so that children could be their parents, and they haven't mandated it back that children cannot be their
That's an excellent idea. I brought up at that last because that has come up before in our data gathering. And I sort of over-exaggerated, but not really. But since I've been in the cannabis industry since 1968, my daughter could roll 500 joints in an hour by the time she was 5. Of course, I'm just exaggerating a tiny bit, but I'm not. That's how close we were to the hemp. I mean, she was a part of my business. Yeah.
Farmers teach their
children. Smugglers teach their children to smuggle. Sorry about that.
Okay. A good point though, Valerie, is that the positive that we have is a rich culture.
Yes.
And that's something that we can't forget.
Great, so supporting the micro farmers will not raise their fees, that's right. We're coming into another renewal milestone. Like, my goodness, we have barely even like got any fee.
Right.
Like, our fee is $6,000, and like, it, I move in the next 3 months. And I try to speak against first-time farmer forgiveness or some sort of like, you know, first 3 years, try again, because we're in crucial times. These years are like, you know, a couple of months is make or break for some of us farmers. It's really important that if we don't know where the fees are going, and we stop putting in for a year, because really, like, you know, the little guys are, they need the support.
Okay, back off that, whatever taxes and sales, they should just try to apply and get the licensing and what testing fees and whatever else. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so, no, don't go that now.
Awesome. Okay, I went ahead and wrote those down for the call list, so those 4 will be up there. But thank you for bringing it up. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Anyone else for more pros?
It seems everyone's ready for the cons.
Everyone's always ready for the cons. That's the most popular one.
Yeah. They have done a good job about teaching Mexican parents how to talk to their kids about cannabis. So they haven't really shunned us away from it. They have been doing, so it's kind of on the same topic as well. And then another thing to add, they haven't restricted us on hours, it's based off counties, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It's not California or Colorado, many states have access to 24-hour dispensaries, so 365 if they're able to have that.
Yes. Access to medicine, good education for parents.
And up here in Albuquerque, are you guys allowed 24-hour shops? Do they? No? Okay. Drive-through? Do they allow drive-through?
You're not supposed to, but they're not enforcing it either, so.
Okay.
Not yet.
All right, so, and that's something that needs to be fought at the, I guess, the city council level and the county level as well. I'm not too sure who changed it up here, and I'm not as in tune in Albuquerque as I'm like down south. It's pretty far, but it's pretty far. But yeah, that's what I was wondering, because those are something that you guys maybe should fight for too. Because in Cruces we have 24-hour shops. We have drive-throughs. We actually have windows you can walk up and order and then just walk away. So those are really good options, and a lot of businesses have found success with those models. And I feel that Albuquerque would find more than success with the same model, because Sunland Park, it's like Wild West down there. They're changing this. They can have outdoor consumption events areas, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel that's something we need to really push the state to, because they did come out, the CCD, and gave us the answer for consumption and how to do it legally with a memo that's out. I don't know if any of you got that memo or not, but they did tell us the right way to do it. But I do feel that we should be able to do consumption events as easy as they do like wine festivals. I went on one of those wine festival websites and I tried to see what it takes to be a vendor. They just wanted to know your license number and your business information, and that's it. So I think it should be just as easy for us to do that for cannabis events. It's really not that big of a deal, and we can have sales there. We can still be tracked, but it'll just be sold off-site. And it's no different than the wine festivals, because they're pouring out wine like fountains over there. They're pouring it out. There's no responsible drinking going on there at all whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I didn't really taste it the first time. Like, I get a second one, thanks. Yeah.
So this is your fifth time here.
That first one was the Metallic. Come on. Yeah, so I've seen it.
Based on all these giggles, I feel like we've all had an experience at a wine festival. We're just laughing about it, remembering. But a pro that I would like to mention and close this off with, if anybody else had anything to say, is that I love the involvement in this industry in New Mexico, especially seeing so many familiar faces from the South. It just really warms my heart. And so thank you guys for being so involved and attending. So that's definitely a pro, is that involved in industry.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, now up to everyone's favorite, the con.
No pros on your All right.
Oh, you're still ready. My bad. She's still ready.
I'd like to give Albuquerque because I don't know any difference, but I think this is the only city currently allowing outdoor lounges.
No, it's Sunland Park.
Not running
I thought it was the only city that was.
No.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's Sunland. Sunland's the only one, but there's nothing there yet, so they're still building out. A little to buy. Would y'all like maybe us to go through some of the pros from the last meetings before?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and go through those.
Okay, and so some of the pros, sorry it's hard to see the screen, but this is a collection of, this is the Las Cruces one. So a pro is that it is not overrun by multi-state operating companies, responsiveness of the CCD, accessibility for micro licenses, variety of product, public involvement for policy change, values medicinal aspect, keeps treatment options open. For example, it's better than people turning to solely pills, that they can turn to cannabis if they have any addiction problems or a history with it. So it's a safe option for medicine. And then a communication between local and state levels, New Mexico pride, job creation, opportunity to create a standard for medicine, and good relation with law enforcement, active towards educating parents. So that was something that is definitely felt among different areas in the state. So that's great. And has created a community, as I had mentioned, a trailblazer for other states, keeping in mind that New Mexico is one of the first states to go medical. So that's awesome. And it is a progressive state. It's people said there was an easier transition from medical to recreational compared to other states. And lastly, Southwest Pride. Maybe I added that one, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have
Alrighty.
any crisis suggestions. So, yeah, who knows?
Thank you.
Did you also
want
want?
to park?
Sure. So I'm a little blind, so I'm gonna have to stay squatted. Okay, sorry guys. It's the ease of getting a license. This can also be a con, and I know that some people feel this way in this room today. In particular, micro licensing, CCD involvement, city council support with both city local support, education, accessibility of cannabis, and educating Texans.
There's a lot of them down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Ask Sunland.
Yeah, Sunland Park sees the majority of that. Bringing in more tax revenue, which in turn equals more funding for the city, giving more opportunities for the community and its people. No more monopolization of licenses, more jobs in the industry and opportunity for everyone to get involved, giving chances to help achieve certain goals, such as legal consumption at events, etc. A plus side is giving people a chance to come into the industry who haven't had any cannabis experience. A plus side is New Mexico is proactive about education. The stigma is also slowly dying. An example would be in schools, being able to recognize what comes from a dispensary and what essentially comes from the traditional market. And huge supportive culture and the community.
And let's not forget creating a whole new industry for the state of New Mexico. That's really big.
Different type of green, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So now we go into everybody's favorite part, the cons. All right. Does anybody want to start off with any cons? All right. Yes.
Since we've been talking about Albuquerque, the entire city of Albuquerque ordinance and their permitting process is terrible. When I was consulting full time, I had clients that, they had 18 or 20 month opening times because of delays with the city. The permitting, especially in order to receive your cannabis seal, is horrible. And we're not the only industry affected by that by any means, but we lost like a $50 million deal on basically sold because of that. So my big gripe is the city of Albuquerque, the ordinances, and the permitting process.
So local jurisdictions.
Some.
Yeah.
Some are better than others.
Right. I had a hard time.
Okay.
Shut
You good? Got it? Next, anyone else?
Trying to figure out.
Yes.
Might be unpopular, but 20,000 plates at the upper limit is too much.
I agree.
Yeah.
So a tidbit of information for you guys. I don't know if you know, but Canada, they have huge grows over there. They've been online as a nation legal for, I'm sure all of you know, in this room for a while now. But the big grows are actually starting to see a decrease in customer revenue. So some of them are shutting down. Some of them are turning to lilies. Some of them are turning to other crops to just make it. And it's because after a while, it seems that people don't like the mass-produced cannabis that's just really shitty. And they're actually turning to the craft cannabis more in Canada. We're going to see that as more of a trend here probably in the States. In New Mexico, we're kind of already starting that. We're really supporting the craft grows here. We really want to, put that on the shoulders of the program. It's somewhere to start, but we understand that we don't really need to be growing 20,000 plants at the same time, because growing 20,000 plants is a pain in the ass. I don't know if any of you have grown a couple thousand plants, that's a pain in the ass. Times that by a few, you got your number. Now you got even more issues. So the small issues that you have, they get bigger and bigger. So, that's one thing I wanted to let you guys know. I don't know if all of you knew or if any of you knew, but that is going to be our trend. That we're probably going to see is more leaning on the craft versus the mass produced. They'll be there, but there's not going to be as many as some people are actually predicting. And that's just going off of what Canada is doing, and hopefully we do the same. So.
Other states, not just Canada.
Yeah, in other states too, but Canada was just a really good example. I was reading some articles on it and just seeing how big of those massive facilities were, and them shutting down or changing their crops was just crazy. So.
Cool. Anyone else?
Cons? Anyone else?
Cons on him?
Cons?
No? Cons?
No one has cons?
What? Oh.
I've been pretty unhappy that there are so many dispensaries that were found selling stuff from other states. And taking away the business from people that were doing anything positive.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just because they didn't have enough inspectors, and hopefully it will get better, but they better get better.
100%.
Totally believe that this seems to be, they've gone
lack of
from 1 to
regulation.
12 now, but they need to have
state
30 to 40
Enforcement. Sorry.
becoming states.
Lack of
And I believe if we can get funding for them, it will cut down not only on the issue that you're talking about, but the so many issues of non-compliance everywhere that is happening.
Funding, what are they doing with all the revenue, the tax revenue they're collecting?
Well, that goes into the general fund, and then they have to request that out of the general fund, it doesn't go straight into their pocket.
Well, if it's coming into that business stream, they should be able to take out enough to be able to support that business model.
I think they need direction on the business model that they have, that's what we're
They'll
hoping.
give them that.
Val's a gangster.
Yeah.
You got that?
Yeah, cool.
Anyone else?
Jonathan?
Oh, yes.
So, okay, so I'm gonna be quick because I've talked about this a lot, but I think an easy way to potentially address some of the imported product is by putting a testing window that we can test within. If we can just discuss chemistry just a second, THCA tends to drop off over time, right? So if there's a potential window that we can figure out and force that testing window on the producers so that there is a ratio of THC to THCA present. If they're over that ratio, they need to produce documentation explaining why. It could be temperature, their drying rooms got too hot. There's a lot of reasons why their THC to THCA ratio would be off, but they would have to provide documentation that they produced that product. I think that would take a lot of, but I could never figure out how to explain that to anybody or get it to somebody who could actually get it to somebody who could hear it. But I definitely think that's a very elegant solution to a very large problem.
So it's more or less just trying to verify that they grew the plant.
Right, but you're gonna, if they have to test within a certain window, and that ratio has to line up.
So it should match.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And I'm saying, again, it's not consistent, there's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
But I think forcing a little bit of a tighter regulation when it comes to that might help a little bit, but I know it's a very elegant solution for something very different.
Okay, so this would go under testing. Issues are gone.
I was thinking how to word it.
Themselves and everything, like the testing availability doesn't take into account that either, and there's a lot of factors involved.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm really a pro or really a fan of the Department of Ag, or really going into like hemp farms and taking the samples themselves, putting it into an evidence bag, and then they have to ship it off to the testing facility instead of the growers being able to cherry pick their favorite one, or the one that isn't infected or whatever. If you have the Department of Ag in there, that person is probably most likely going to do an honorable job and not try to screw everybody over and try to hide some of
That's the reason we need the Department of Ag more involved.
Yes.
Another
1,000%.
thing is, I think if at the level of them bringing in truckload of weed, if they get caught, their license is gone.
Yeah.
Not a fine, because that's kind of a
Like a slap on the wrist.
It's like it's a model for them. If they have 3 semis come through, one gets popped, they pay the fine, they make their money on the other 2.
Yeah.
And it's cartel mentality, and we're allowing.
Yeah. And people have brought that up before, that, the CCD does need more authority. And I think actually Matt had a really good idea last time about, using the guys that enforce the liquor laws and just kind of second them as the cannabis guys too, because all you have to do is train them on cannabis.
So there's a discussion draft for legislation this year that's almost entirely focused on compliance and enforcement, including standing up like its own enforcement division for CCD, because we used to have SID, Special Investigations Division.
Yeah.
So we do that, and that's pretty much the function now. So that is, I will say that is the big legislative push from CCD's perspective.
Okay.
For this 30-day session, which
we all know how that
it's a
goes.
30-day session.
Yeah, it's a 30-day session. If some of you don't know, the 30-day sessions are usually they focus on the budget for the state, so not much gets done other than that. A few bills do get passed, but this year when it comes to cannabis, we'll maybe get a couple things passed. We won't get everything we wanted, but this is a starting point, and next year we'll do it again, and then we'll have even a better bill when it comes to the 60-day session. But yeah, when it comes to the 30-day session, they're usually just working on the budget. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Anything can happen, really.
We don't know what could be on the governor's call too for a 30-day session. But some of this is brought to her attention. It's possibly something I know she's always interested in what's going on in the cannabis world.
Yeah. That was one of her models she ran on, so I remember that. And go ahead, I'm sorry, I forgot you.
No, I was just kind of thinking back on it, is I think one of the big stigmas that's going on is following the rules is considered like not cool, like our dispensary, no, don't worry about signing in, you're here for something. I think that's just kind of it goes back to kind of the cartel mentality, like a lot of people used to do some things, you know what, that's cool, I'm glad you're in it now, but getting rid of that from the core of it, whether it's just like with our bartenders, all the way through to manufacturing, I think it's like a big problem. Everybody's like, no, it's not cool to follow the rules. And you're like, but that's okay.
But I like my license.
Yeah. There's punishment on that, like if you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Where is your repercussions for it?
Yeah.
Where do you actually see?
The way they look at that, that's more of like a bully tactic that, these people are still in that mentality of the underground market. And that's going to subside through time, but it's going to be a whole around effort to the industry that we're going to have to push them. Guys, no, you can't think this way. You can't do business this way. This is business. This is illegal business. It's not thug time. That's a total different game. We're dealing with a total different kind of thug now, the government. So
I think that has to be backed up by what we are doing.
Yes.
And the interactions that we're having, because the reality is, I don't know how many people in here have interacted with this type of cannabis. Go ahead and shut them down. It really doesn't, like, the cost of the license is irrelevant. The amount of how much what really is difficult for them is finding a building to put it in.
Yeah.
The money doesn't matter. They're bringing a semi full of cannabis. Money is irrelevant. We have to change people's minds outside of legislation when it comes to that. We have to make sure that they understand the supply chain, that where this product came from, and they can easily visualize that. And we're talking about that in our sales process. Like, it has to be something more than legislation, because it isn't going to matter to them.
As Chad and I have talked, so many people have contacted me over a period of time and said, Valerie, this is going on. They're selling products in California. You can lift up a sticker. I can tell exactly where it is, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff that's going on. And I go, and I can do something about it? No, you can do something about it. And you need to get rid of the snitch mentality about that. It's a New Mexico True product. It's New Mexico True that we're working for, and they're damaging our industry is the way it should be looked at. And so you should, as I've advised all of them, call the CCD inspectors, buy a product that you know is tainted, take it to the CD inspectors, tell them where it came from. I mean, it's actively getting involved instead of folks just grumbling amongst themselves and going, this is happening, this really sucks. Well, that's because we're a new industry and people aren't used to making that transition, and we're going to help you. we're gonna make that transition. And it needs to be reported, any and all of this. When you run across it, you report it. You're not a snitch for doing that. You're saving our industry.
100%.
Well, and it goes back to your ethics as well, like as a business person.
I've been to a number of dispensaries that have no labels, fire jack products. And it just, I just go crazy over it.
Right.
It's an expensive part of the business to do all those things. They're not doing it. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing for the business. It's not a good thing for the customers. It's not a good thing for anybody except for the people that are selling.
Well, that's why it's an industry and not a traditional market. Or behavior, so it's not a traditional market anymore. I'm sorry if you don't like the word black market or underground or whatever. It's like, that's what that stuff is, and we work too hard to create these laws so that we can step out of the shadow and move into the industry. So I ask that you support that, and I ask you report that. Support, report, I say.
Awesome. Go ahead, Matt.
One of the things I've struggled with is the length of time it's taking on clear enforcement actions to actually be enforced. You have, for example, like the unnamed farm up in Estancia that was busted with potential human trafficking.
Yeah.
That enforcement had been going on since early this year, and maybe 2 months ago, they finally got an injunction against that farm. And that's happening all over the place, so they can continue to operate without any fear of consequence. They don't get shut down. So due process is a constitutional guarantee and protected right, but let's make that due process happen a little bit faster. Make these enforcement actions happen faster.
They weren't able to continue growing for 2 more months, so they could have harvested, like, who knows, and then sent it to black market. Like that, and then also when they shut down dispensaries, they don't confiscate the products, even if they know it's from out of town. There was a dispensary that got shut down, and they didn't know what to do with all their products because the landlord was kicking them out, and they're like, okay, well, we'll just take all of our illegal products and go sell them on the street. Like, the state doesn't care, they just took away the license. That's silly. Yeah. Because like now you're forcing them to go sell it to black market, basically, you're giving them the green light.
Yeah. That's true. So, then just parentheses with CC. So that would be now. All right.
That's a perfect segue into the live or this weekly update to the site page of enforcement actions.
Yeah.
Looking at the dates literally right now, one of the large cases came out back in October, which I mentioned in the meetings, but one of our customers drastically affected by that. I was there 5 days later, and he's alien from me while I'm standing in front of him, just avoiding to me. And it's something that's right in front of us. They could take care of with 1, maybe 2 staff members, have it updated weekly, bi-weekly, so that we as good operators can keep our eyes open and set a walk their way for something realistic. It's low hanging fruit, it's right there, and it would be super effective. So I said it last time, I said it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the more we say it, the more likely they'll hear it. So awesome. Did someone talk? Was that me? Or am I just tripping? Am I just high?
It's in your head.
Tim, those edibles. I know. I've been this man.
Now we know. Now we know.
I've been this man for a decade. That was fellowship. You're right. Oh, it did. I was like, oh, I feel like you're talking. You're right. Awesome. Any more cons?
Get out of my head.
You owe me a Coke.
Sorry. Yeah.
And think about something that has caused you guys to struggle, like what in the regulation, and think about the process of getting your license. Like that too, like getting started. You know, what's something that could probably change that is kind of a con that, you know, was a pain in your ass that really didn't need to be there? There you go.
Cost of testing.
Cost of testing.
And we use concentrates, and we're not turning very much.
Right.
So like $200 for a gram of concentrate is a bit expensive.
That's dumb.
Yeah. We turn in 10 samples, it's $2,000. Like,
Yeah.
that's absolutely-
No, it does. And, you know, we have to pay 280E, not like we can, you know, claim stuff on taxes. It'd be fine, it'd be better, not fine. It'd be better if we could claim that on our taxes as a tax, you know, as a business expense, right? Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
The state back in May shut down, a micro program that they were doing. I would love to see that, something like that come back, because although they only had a couple of loans go out, boy, the way the program was set up, the terms were fantastic, the amount of money you give was great. It was for micro businesses. There's a real lack of any kind of capital out there for us, unless you've got to be cash or you've got some investors.
Are you talking about the grant program?
Yep.
Grant program.
The grant program?
The grant program that ran out of money, that has to go away around for the fiscal year till more money is applied for, but you know, I have to always say this is still such a baby industry, that these are the things that we need to stay on top of, so that we are requesting enough money for the grant program, not so that a few people are able to get the grants and then it's no more empty drain, you know.
This one had $5 million, and I think they spent less than $600,000.
Yeah. And that goes right back to the general fund, yeah. So, yeah, we need to stay on that.
I just kind of wanted to maybe open more of the conversation about testing, because we just kind of had a conversation about how most people was testing for like THC and minimal pesticides and heavy metals. I just, about a week and a half ago, opened a dispensary. Not one purveyor gave me their COAs. I had to really ask for all of them, from every single person. And if you're paying that money for the testing, you should be proud of that testing, especially if you have clean, great product. Like, rock that shit. Like, it really should, especially if it's costing you $200. Like, be proud of that shit. Make product that you're like stoked to, like, hey, this is my COA. My POS system is able to show people the COAs of everything. And that's ultimately what we want. We want to know what we're putting in our body, right? Like, I want to know what I'm putting in my body. So I'd love to have more of a conversation of like everyone's opinion on testing. Yeah. Because I know Val.
I have been on testing.
Talk about testing all day.
Because I've been shocked. I was in shock. And like every single purveyor was like, I've never given a COA. And then one of them, which was a pretty big brand, was like, well, we have the COA for the concentrate that went into this edible. And I'm like, I need the final test. They're like, in the state of New Mexico, you don't have to do that. And I was like, I know this is a moving target, but do a little bit more research, because I do think I need that final COA. So it was bizarre to me that that nobody was proud of or whatever. They were like instantly forthright about their COA.
So what about a better a better tracking system? I mean, do you think that would help? Something should come attached with it when you order something, I kind of feel.
Just like with your manifest, it should be like your manifest.
Right. Chain of custody, manifest, invoice. Yeah.
I will say on the final product.
I would, if it was
That's
right.
something that isn't included, or the state's not enforcing it. So that's part of the issue.
The only one who flower tested,
Yeah.
Manufacturing testing.
I've been having I traded some emails with the state a couple months ago about it. They're working on bringing the final product testing to the actual market. I think it's still going to be so easy. Okay. So you're kind of stuck with that intermediate testing.
Then they've got to hear about it. they gotta hear about, the institutions have to hear about it, and the legislatures have to hear about it. That's the only way we can keep pushing through is if they hear about, and that's why we're doing these town halls, so we'll have like data too. But testing as an issue at every town hall creates a large conversation. And it's near and dear to my heart, so.
Cool. Someone on the chat here mentioned that there is QR inscribes. You can put it on the test, and I've seen it. Down in the south, you just scan the QR code and it gives you everything. So there's that option now. I'm sorry.
So one of the things I'm curious about is the CCD, when they find that there's mold on a product or something, what are they doing? Because it doesn't appear they're doing anything, and they should be destroying that product. It should be destroyed.
They don't have the authority right now to destroy the product themselves, but that is one of the things that they want out of the 30-day session.
Yeah, there should be a recall and destruction of the product. I mean, why is it out there?
They tell you to destroy it now, and you probably have to record that you destroy anything. There's no.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, do it on the camera and show us.
This kind of opens it up for a company to come incinerate, an incineration company for cannabis for waste. There's that option for a business now. If we kind of implement something because, or some company that gets rid of it. They can come and do it for you. If you don't want to take it and call it off. So there's an idea for a business in the future if we do it right. Yeah. You gotta turn it to compost or something. Yeah.
I would like to say, speaking in testing and products and packaging, the amount of plastic that goes into all the packaging, unnecessary hard plastic, that takes forever to disintegrate, is that the right word? But I definitely think there should be maybe some type of recycling program or a standard packaging or something like that. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not. You know it's not. I know you lied.
Yeah. When I was in the Army, the best way to get rid of Intel was to burn it. We literally would sit there and have burn parties of Intel. So, why not with cannabis?
Yes.
I've been around a few burn pits.
But it's so important. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of ways.
All right. Anyone else? What's up?
Testing should be definitely cheaper just because, like you mentioned, just requiring CBD and THC and THCA isn't suffice even to teach our bartenders and to teach our clients how to medicate themselves. So it just goes from the whole entire industry, the way we serve our clients to the way we educate ourselves to even just knowing what's in the products. It should all be more accessible. It should be cheaper.
It should be right on the product. The pesticide content, the heavy metal content, blah, blah, blah. People forget they set off atom bombs all over the stick. There's heavy metals floating around. I want to say something about testing. When the first 7 producers opened in 2008, it was allowable to have 90% pesticide on the yes, if you can imagine that. That was allowable. So, that's when we had a change of administrations and the testing cycle began for me because that was unacceptable for me. And then a few years later, by the time we had the first 12 and then by the first 15, we had moved to a point where there was allowed then a general thought in the medical program that all they had to do was have a 70% content of pesticide. And I can tell you from many of my ancillary business friends that would gain product and retest it, and what was given to them that was said would bounce on 70% pesticide all the time. I think it needs to be standardized pesticides of what can be used and not allowable. I think it should, all of this stuff, and it should be open just like the Terps. You should be able to look and see what is in here, because I'm into clean weed. And I just, the whole thing has just been gagging with a spoon. It's like, we need to like work on all of this stuff, and it just takes work. It just takes work. I'm here with a young lady here that back whenever the weed was so filthy, we did what was called a secret buy with one of the reporters for the Reporter and also in the political paper in the Albuquerque Journal. And we went around with Peter and made secret buys and had them tested. And it was outrageous. Well,
It wasn't anything near what they said.
Wasn't anything at all. It was like so bad. And that was in the medical program. We did this in what, 2013?
I thought it was 14, but we don't know these days.
All allegedly, right?
I remember reading it.
So did you have something to say, John?
Yeah, so to kind of like, I think we address, we bring up price kind of often when it comes to this, right? That has nothing to do with the state. Like it's very difficult for a business to spend $1 million on equipment and not be able to recoup that back in the general decent amount of time, right? So what we need is to be asking for something very specific from the state, which is going to be some sort of legislation help, whether it's money or just ease.
State lab.
They are not a cannabis business. They are a testing facility that actually needs to be able to do business very easily so that we can conduct business very easily, right? So they cannot be treated like a cannabis facility in some ways because they're only getting small amounts of things. And allowing them to be able to conduct business in a better way as far as being able to write things off correctly, because like the owner of Argonne's a good friend of mine, and like he put every penny of his own money for that equipment. So like it's difficult to ask them to say, hey, can you help us out? Which I know he does, but can you help us out is also like, can you not pay your bills? Can you not do these things for you? That's difficult. That's a difficult ask for anybody. And so we need to be specifically asking the right questions to the legislation and asking for help for them specifically if that's a big problem, which it seems like.
I got a story on being specific with legislation. So I screwed the industry over for about a year on accident. I'll tell it real fast. So I called the CCD one day, and this is back then when we had a straight plant count. It was 450 plants or 1750, just straight plants. They didn't do the mature thing. I called the CCD or the DOH at the time, excuse me, that's how long ago it was. I called the DOH at the time and I told them, I was like, hey guys, I know you do this, plant count with even a seedling or a clone is, counted against their plant count. I was like, we should go to a mature, immature plant count. That way you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to mess with it at all. You give the dispensaries a more variety. There's clones that can be provided to patients, to, other, dispensaries and stuff like that. And they're like, that's a great idea. Well, they implemented that. Well, what I didn't tell them is what a mature plant was, and then a mature plant ended up being 12 inches for about a year. So if you guys remember that, that was for me, and I'm sorry. But that's a great example. We need to be very, very specific with them. It's almost like talking to a child, because if not, they'll go run with it, and we'll be like, oh my God, I didn't tell them what a mature plant was. And like, oh my God, I just ruined the world. So, that's one thing that we have to keep in mind too when we're talking to these people. Like one thing I was keeping in mind when we're talking about the testing and everything, and I brought this up the last meeting, standardization when it comes to testing and many things, but standardization with testing. What I mean with that is you go from one testing facility to another and you'll have skewed results. You have, very, very skewed. And some of them use old equipment, some use new equipment, some use total different testing techniques than the other. And you're going to get skewed results every time you go from one to the other. And I feel like standardization on the testing really needs to be there because we're going to get more standardized results. And we can even test it by taking the same one to a different testing facility. And that's the best way that you can see if it's, they're doing the right thing. And especially if the state has their own facility that they can be the control of. So that would really help. But I feel standardization would really help us out on the testing side because, to be honest, there's a few places that you can toss a couple dollars at and they're going to give you whatever number you want. So there's that out there, and I feel that would kind of help out a little bit. But I don't know how you all feel about standardization. It's actually was mentioned in here in this chat a couple times too, is standardization. And it reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, standardization.
Yes. Yeah, we have a lot to work on. That's because we have a baby bill and a baby industry, and there's a lot of that needs to, only we can continue to uplift this and make it stronger and tighter as we move along and have what we want out of it. For your business is cannabis, so you want to have what you want for your cannabis business.
Which, going back to everything, this is why we're here and why we want to give this platform for you all to go ahead and speak your minds and let us know what your experiences are. Is there anybody else for Cox? Yes?
One of the concerns that I have is that the taxes are going to be increased. And we're already at 19.8 something percent. And so if that continues to go up and it makes every gram that much more expensive, I think that we are seeing the black market, start to rise again. If it's more expensive to get it from us, and they can get it out on the street, that's when things start happening.
You're 100% correct. And that's something that we brought up to Representative Lada the other day when we had the meeting with him. And he agreed that taxes is probably something that we're only going to be able to change this legislative session because 2025 are due to increase. Now, one thing he told me that's a caveat on that, he says the only problem we're going to have through the legislature is they're going to want their money, the same money amount that they're getting. He says, so how are we going to do that? I said, well, let's still tax high out-of-state people. They don't have any Mexico residency, they get taxed higher. I was like, how about that? And he actually liked that idea. I don't know how well that's going to go, but I do feel the taxes do need to come back or stay where they're at because we're at a threshold right now. If we go any higher, it's going to get back. And we're already at a point where people are like, that's a lot of taxes. It's kind of ridiculous. So I agree with you. The taxes, if it does go higher, it will cause issues. But Representative Lada did tell us that's something that they're probably going to try to change this next legislative session because 2025 is due to increase and then it continues to increase.
I'll fight it for you, Senator Representative Chad, but there was a study, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago that showed that looked at all legalized states. It showed that 21% is that top tax rate where you start seeing the teenagers back into the traditional market.
Yeah.
And we're only a couple of percentage points away from
that. All we need is a local whatever to do something and it kind of changes it. So yeah, I agree with you. Someone gets like, oh no, we need the taxes to go up. So I agree. And it's something that we're going to have to really, really fight because this is going to affect all of us in this room. And we don't want that because none of us like taxes.
Also, we'll eat it to give good out the door prices.
Yeah, there's some people who do that in cruises.
Yeah. Go ahead. If people remember, like that was the escalating tax thing was just an add-on in one committee, and every bill I think that we've had since the CRA passed got rid of the escalation. It's definitely, if anything passes, that will pass. And what you said about because when we were drafting the original legislation, there was a residency clause in there, and it turns out that there's a federal law called the Commerce Clause. And basically, no state can treat out-of-state businesses different. And Washington State got sued several times by operators. So anything that treats out-of-state operators differently than in-state operators basically violates federal law.
So even to a customer?
I'm
talking to customers, not.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm talking about those. I'm sorry, I'm talking about customers at the storefront.
I thought,
I'm talking about taxes at the storefront. My bad, dude. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Okay, cool. But that makes sense. Thank you for that, by the way. That was actually really good information. No, that was actually really good.
But I'm sure whatever bill passes, if something passes this year or definitely next year or the year after, that escalation is going to disappear.
Yeah, I agree. Because I keep telling him, I was like, we're at a threshold. And even Representative Lottie, he's like, I agree. We're kind of at a threshold. We're a poor state. And luckily, his area that he represents is near Texas, so they're getting a lot of money right now. And so he's like, you still want that money? And that's when I told him, I was like, well, let's just tax the out-of-state residents. If they're buying weed here recreationally. I mean, the medical patients still get tax-free regardless of where you're from.
I will say that there's a lot of saturation. I don't think retail saturation is really a thing. I think we're overproducing cannabis, but a lot of the stuff that we're talking about needs to be self-regulated as an industry. You're talking about recyclable stuff. That's an opportunity for a retail to really set themselves apart and figure out who their target audience is. I would pay more money for a recyclable package. I would go to some place that has like a Kamahaina rate where we get a discount for the Mexico ID, and I think that's probably easier than adding an additional tax.
Right? Because we're treating it as food, and so people can bring in their own dish for us to serve them. And so.
Oh, a recyclable thing?
Yeah. So,
oh, but you could just take it and return it and you take it to a recycling thing.
Because I thought it was a program where you bring back your bottle and you get a
I'm sure there's a creative way. I guess my point is, there's lots of discussions about what the state needs to do, convincing legislators who don't understand this industry is kind of what to do. But I feel like there's opportunities for businesses. It's fucking competitive right now, and there's opportunities for businesses to really like step up and set themselves apart as individual businesses, and then for the industry as a whole, like what we're doing right now, for us not to wait. Like we're the heroes that we've been waiting for. We can't wait for the state to do stuff. And I think there are opportunities there that right now could help set businesses apart. There was an article in the Albuquerque Journal, or it was an op-ed in response to another article where somebody was like, there's too much retail, and then somebody else wrote in like, I go to some dispensaries and they ask to see my ID 6 times. I go to other dispensaries and they know my name, the bud tenders like have good recommendations, and those are the ones that are gonna still be open in 2 years, where the other ones, they're not. So I think there are opportunities from a business perspective, especially retail, but really every license type, to set themselves apart. But the bigger picture is we can't wait for, like, we've had bills the last 2 years and nothing's happened. We can't wait for the legislature for stuff that we can own as the industry and work on. And that's exactly what the point of this meeting is. So that's why I'm telling you.
Well, I mean, overall, you have to have like ethos and ethics as business people, as like peers in cannabis. Like really, as a whole, from out of state lead to calling the CCD to monitoring ourselves, like all,
Yeah, because right now you're at a disadvantage if you're a good operator.
Right.
But eventually we'll improve this part.
Right.
Awesome.
Cool. Did anybody else have any more cons?
Yeah, any more cons?
Just to expound on what they were saying too, she had mentioned it, is the lack of educated bud tenders. Like there is nothing more annoying than like if I can walk into your dispensary and I can tell you more about the products you're selling than you can tell me, something's wrong. Like, and you know, to be a bartender, there's schools you can go to, you can get certified. When I got certified, way back in the day, I had to take like an all-day class to get my certification. There's like, you don't even have to smoke weed, you don't have to do nothing about it, they just put you behind the counter and that's it. And you're giving medical advice, like a bartender's entertainment, kind of thing. Like a bartender is medical, and you don't want to give, an older person that is experiencing a lot of pain or something, like something that's going to be a major anxiety. Then they're going to be turned off to it, or and then
I agree. I don't know how many times I ran into a bud tender who shakes the jar and almost break my teeth on themselves because it's just, I heard that. And so, the education is an issue, even at the bud center, and that's
even
one of the
as
most.
the owners of dispensary, we've gone and we visited over 100 dispensaries, and some like business owners will put the.
There's not much we can do legislatively wise right now because there's nothing in the law.
So that's a good example. Like, why do we want legislators to? That's the opportunity for you to educate your bud tenders and come to your dispensary and they don't.
And not get the government involved.
Yeah. And that's just going to take time.
Where's the education coming from? Like, it can't come from that direction.
It can't come from the state.
It can't come from the state. It has to come from us. It's not ever going to come from
It
the
has
state.
to come from the grower, it has to come from, it has to trickle down effectively.
Right.
Which brings attention to the importance of those COAs being available, because I know a lot of the times, and we can relate on that, being asked to do a project where you're like, oh, well, you teach them about the strains. I'm like, okay, so then let's see those COAs. Oh, we don't have them. So everybody's just kind of in a bind because of lack of resources from all the areas. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it kind of ties down to the specific retail owners themselves, kind of setting that consistent standard. Like once they receive the flower and whatever it is, whatever SKU it is, they have to have this SKU attached. I know here in Galileo, that's one of our requirements. Whoever's receiving the inventory, there has to be a SKU. The COA is attached to it. You go over, you educate, you put it in abbreviation on our POS system. So that way, whenever they get asked questions from customers, they already have it on the system, or it's on the chart. It's accessible. I think just creating that consistency, and like you said, it really ties down to the individual owner themselves on making that consistent matter, because the legislators might do that for us. That's all
Well,
on
I
us.
think as business owners, it's our responsibility too to make sure that those are the people we're hiring, people that want to have knowledge, not I sell weed.
Not there for a check.
I think it comes down to training. Training your
Yes.
department, taking the time to train them and let them know what you expect. And as a fellow grower, whenever I go to a dispensary that I'm going to sell to, I'm looking for those things. I'm trying to see, hey, how do you guys store your weed? Who are your bud tenders? How are they presenting things? If they're not doing a good job, I'll educate them on, hey, this is my product. This is why it stands out from the rest. Here's a sample. Please pass this on to the customer. You know, so not every dispensary is going to be successful.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 licensed dispensaries. It's up to the owner to push that, to the growers and to take the bud tenders.
Yeah. And that's something that popped in my mind, and actually one of the gentlemen that left, he does this. He goes to dispensaries individually, and he trains the staff on his product. You know, exactly what's in it, how it works, et cetera, so that way once they go into the floor, they have the knowledge they need to sell it to the customer and to not sound like a dumbass. You know, and just let's be honest, they sound like a dumbass if they don't know what they're talking about. Yes. Yeah, and I kind of feel that maybe that's on us to maybe go out of our way to go to these dispensaries we're selling to and to tell them and to educate them about our products. You know, and that's something that, you know, Will brings up. Yeah, let's not get the government involved. Let's do it ourselves. Let's make the industry better without having to have regulations there.
And you can see it too, like we have people come drop off orders and just like, hey, where's the check? I need it now. And you have other people, I'll mention one while. My buddy Nero, that he killed. The first time he came, he sold the shit out of us. He had every single thing I was going to be wanted. And it was just that education. He actually built a report with us. He sat there. He wanted to come back. He's like, I want to come back with all the listeners right here so I can educate each and every one of you guys so you can consistent. If you guys have any questions, you guys can reach out to me. So I really like that about that specific company. That's one company I will shout out.
But I will say that does mean with 10 different companies, right? Every bartender is about 10 to 11 boxes.
Yeah.
So they're loving on him.
Yeah, of course.
And he'll bring pizza, yeah.
No, that's
Good
great.
job.
You know, that's something that our industry should, you know, really embrace is the fact that we can do that. We can educate each other. You know, we can go and tell people about our product because I preach this all the time. You know, customer experience. Look at the places that are doing great. Now look at the customer experience. And another example is packaging. You know, packaging is huge. You know, if you look at Wild, their packaging is gorgeous. It's fun. You know, and a lot of people love that. And here's an example. There's some businesses down south, and one processed another company's and they split it. And they have this same exact product, but one labeling and packaging is totally different than the other. The other one sells, the other one does not. And so that is like a huge like thing to keep in mind because that's like an experiment that was unintended. But you know, the results were the fact that packaging matters. You know, there's no more Ziploc bags and brown baggies anymore. You know, you got to make it look really cool, make it pop. There's a reason why Apple does a good job of selling products to their customers at such an expensive price. That customer experience. You know, that from the time you buy it, from the time you know turn the device on, there's a customer experience at every level, and that's kind of what we have to bring at this. You know, that's how you stand out. You know, and right now it's you know saturated, and that's how you're going to survive. You know, have a good product, good customer service, and you know a good customer experience all around. You know, and that's the little recipe for it. So.
What do you guys think about, like, say, a cosmetologist license? They have to go, so many of these people are different professions, I mean, have to go and get recertified. They have to take a test. I think that should be from the owner down, not just, I think in education-wise. And I think that that's another way for the state to make some money on tax and licensing because they're always looking for something, but I think that there should be a recertification and keep up with the knowledge of the things that the CCD is doing if you don't watch their online programs about business, which they do have some pretty good ones online, but there's not enough of it.
And I kind of feel that's something that can be brought back to the same thing that Will says, that, you know, we need to enforce it with each other, you know, instead of having the government force us to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, like that's something that, you know, like I believe in too, is, you know, let's have those guys not mess with us that much. You know, we really need to educate ourselves. You know, it's a problem. And, you know, like I said, that it starts with our businesses educating each other. And that's a good start with, you know, the other companies going out of their way to educate the local dispensaries about their product. And I think that's already kind of starting. I don't know about you. Yeah. I think that it's a slow start, but I think it's a start. And let's let it happen naturally and see what happens. Because that's good news to hear that it's happening more. And so now that I'm hearing that tonight, shit, let's let the natural process take its path. Yeah, I'm down with that.
And every single company that I've ever asked, because we have a meeting there just once a month, and during that meeting, they'll bring, whoever that company is, will bring their product and educate the staff about it. And it's amazing what it does for them as well, because that month, that product sells like 100 to 200% more than before they didn't have that education.
Yeah.
And they will do it. If you ask, they'll come.
Yeah, I've walked out of places because I asked them, what's your most terpiest cannabis? Because he said, what are you looking for today? And that's what I told them. And they're like, oh, well, it's impossible for me to smoke everything I know. And I said, all right, we'll see you later. Obviously, you guys don't know anything. So it was a simple question, it was like, what's something that smells good? I didn't even give them anything specific. I want fruity, I want, gassy. It was just, what's something that smells the best? And they couldn't even answer that question. So yeah, it goes, if they could have told me that, I would have been like, cool, give me a half ounce of it, a quarter of it, because I love things that smell good and taste good. I hope we all do. So yeah, I agree with that.
Any more cons? Yes.
There's a requirement for an independent audit once every 2 years. That can cost the company from like $5,000 to $25,000.
The shock. Everyone's silent.
Yeah,
I know
it's
that.
in the regulation.
We just haven't hit.
It's also not being enforced yet, but it is something that's a little egregious for it.
What is it again? Sorry.
You have to get an independent audit every 2 years. And it's gotta be a whole audit. From like an HSW or something like that.
It's one of those.
Those are expensive, very expensive. They start at $6,000.
I think it would be important to look at, it's gonna cost the business $25,000 whenever some people come up with a license, that's $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that's worth our time and money to get it removed, so that somebody will not be able to do that money.
It's a good idea.
And these two ladies just said that they felt like it was part of the medical that just got lumped into the CCD, yes.
There's a lot of copy and pasting going on with it.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
It's absolutely frustrating.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, why is that in there? Oh, copy paste.
Yeah. As we move forward.
Okay.
Affordable banking.
Okay. Banking. Okay. And to be honest, these town halls help with them prevents them from copying and pasting. Because they have something to start with. They're like, okay, we're gonna have something, at least foundation for us to work off of versus like, well, let's just take it from this one because it's similar. Let's just take it because tobacco and weed are smoked. Like there's a similarity. So I get that. It's great.
Cool. Anyone else?
No.
Anybody have any testimonials?
And before we start, I need to say this because this happened the first meeting.
Yes.
If any of you are a lobbyist, a registered lobbyist, and you work for a company, please state that before you make your statement. We had that the last time, and we try to strive on transparency, and so we want to be transparent. So please, if you are in the room, let us know. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
No testimonials on this side?
What do you mean by that?
Just a personal instance where you feel that the cons or the pros really resonated in that, and that way we can all have an example of what it is that you could be referring to in a deeper sense.
This is a chance for you to really give like a personal experience or testimony how, whatever, this is just a moment at the end to kind of put everything together if you have it in your mind or something you forgot or thought of as we had the conversation, because I know I learned a lot tonight.
Has anyone heard anything on those, like those permanent or like those temporary licenses or something that really would go out and then it's tournaments and salaries? I know that they were talking about it, but I hadn't followed
Vendor license.
I'm a registered lobbyist for the New Mexico Cannabis Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Will.
We were calling it a picnic license before,
Yes.
and it's not going to happen this session, but it is something that legislators, it's on the radar, and I think for the 60-day session, we would be able to get it in there. Yeah. And I want to say too, like a lot of the stuff, banking, there's stuff happening federally that I think it's kind of a older art moment, but I just want to say my opinion on rescheduling, and I don't know if people pay attention to this, because rescheduling cannabis would mean that we no longer have to, there would be no 280E.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, don't let that be like your target, because I think rescheduling cannabis to Schedule 3 would be the biggest mistake.
Absolutely.
Oh,
it's
okay. Yeah.
Never mind, forget I said it.
Yeah, it's prohibition with perks. Is what it
Some
is.
concerns about 280E, and that's not the way to get rid of it or to get it working.
We gotta think,
Sure.
what Schedule 2 or Schedule 3 drugs are you going to the store to pick up yourself without seeing a doctor or anything like that? I mean, it's just gonna take it out of our hands and put it in big pharmacy.
Yeah, because I come to find out what it will do is it'll make it all medical, but there is a clause where you can kind of do over the counter, I guess, with Schedule 3 and in a medical, non-prescribed way, I guess is the way that they're thinking about it. But it's still, I'm like, why do we have to do this loophole? You know, like, why do we have to go this route where everything has to be medical now? Now yeah, exactly. Descheduling is really the way to go. You know, so yeah, I agree. But
That's see, there. I feel like there's where the paradox occurs that we were just discussing it being a medicine, and then we want to walk away from schedules. We have to understand the conversations we're having. That sales process is important, you know, because if we're talking medical stuff, but we want to walk away from medical because it benefits us, well, that's kind of like we're weighing things now, and I think it's a little difficult.
We replace the medical term with therapeutic.
Right, agreed. I mean, but it has to be universal. It has to be,
for sure.
And the conversations that we're having in our sales processes have to reflect that.
Sure.
And the terminologies we're using and how we're approaching those conversations. I mean, it's a difficult process, you know. I mean, I managed CBD boutique front of house when it was the heyday, so it was very difficult, you know, like it was extremely difficult.
For
And
sure.
I don't know, you know, like we wanted it to be a place people could feel comfortable to have those conversations in, and it was still like, we still had to really pay attention to how we worded things. That sales process was super important. Just saying, like we gotta, that's weighing two sides right there. I don't know what game we want to play.
I think one of the things we need to do is to have it recognized as an agricultural product, and we're not there yet. And if we do that, then we can go under ag, which totally changes everything.
Yeah.
So one of the most powerful policy councils in the state right now is the included Ag Policy Council.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to reach out to them to get them to recognize that it is another crop in the state of New Mexico, which falls under ag.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that draw the biggest amount of money out of the general fund to do things for kids and food and all that area. So if they support us coming under them as an agricultural product, it's a win-win.
So I've had a lot of I've had a good relationship with the Department of Ag in New Mexico. I mean, it's right down the street. So I've talked to them many times, and they've told me actually that there's just law stipulations that need to change for them to do things. They're like, we just can't do things because of the law. And like, because I've asked them, I'm like, well, why can't you guys just do this and this? Like, oh, the law, this and that, blah, blah, blah. So I think it would probably be a law change, but I agree, that, the Department of Ag does need to be more involved in the process, of cannabis from seed to sale almost. So
I've always felt that was very odd that it was our lead.
Yeah.
And licensing didn't make any sense.
And Department of Ag is involved in some part, but not like it's very much. Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah. Yeah, the Aggies. Yeah, agricultural. I just found that out recently, by the way. I was like last week old when I found out Aggies means ag, and I went there. I went for IT, okay?
Anyone else?
No?
No?
Weird, and I'm just throwing it out there.
Please.
Why is it that we cannot use beef jerky?
That's dumb.
What?
What?
Because it's not beef.
I'm all wait, what?
I've done it before. It's yummy. It's fun.
It's the FDA because it's meat. Because it's meat, it has to be something processed. It's meat. Yeah.
So what if you have something?
It's not the
So how big of a bong rip does a cow need to take?
Sorry.
What was it that you guys were saying?
It's not, the FDA, it's the, Department of U.S. Department of Agriculture, that is requiring that all beef has to be inspected, and the places where you process any beef has to be inspected. Now, if you want to sell beef jerky of your own, you don't have to go by their rules. But if you want to sell it to somebody else, you need to.
Because I have this lady on the.
Peachy rules.
And so we were going to all of us. We were like, yeah, let's do that. And so she would make it in her facility and then we would infuse it, but they have to they pulled it from the shelf. Yes.
I heard about that. Yeah, I actually heard about that. I was kind of mad. I was like,
We got pulled off by this, so sad.
oh.
Yeah.
Hurry.
Eat it off the camera.
She was also trying to add.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We had somebody come, we were making jerky, and they, it was somebody from the department.
USDA.
Oh,
Absolutely. It's USDA tested meat and approved, and after you process it, it's no longer tested. So you have to have USDA come back out, check your facility for cleanliness and all the rest of the regulations, and then test your product before you can sell it.
So it's like going
Never
kosher.
had cannabis.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and they won't approve cannabis, yeah.
Philip likes bugs, though.
Awesome. So with a way around it to have a USDA approved facility and also a manufacturing facility at the same time, so that way you could do both.
They're not gonna approve you, dear.
Oh yeah, because they're peachy fest. Got it, Tim. Thank you for that.
One thing nobody like really touched on that really sucks is biochemistry.
Yeah, that's something that was mentioned in the last meeting. Actually, me and
And the
Jonathan
first
had a
meeting
science
as well.
conversation just a little
It
bit
was in
ago.
all the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah, biochar.
No, it sucks. I agree.
There's no state that's used
Okay. Yeah, because this past legislative session, they had a bill to, for the state to create their own, but that kind of scared me. I was like, I don't know. But Jonathan and I were talking, like, well, we could have, somebody who's really great in the state that's a local do it, and create a team possibly around that and make something way better.
I think next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goes up to rebid again and all, it's
Metric?
Yes, metric. There you go. Like matrix.
Matrix. That's what we'll call ours
We
matrix.
might be going against them, but that's it. If
Yeah.
metric doesn't, like then we.
Metrics, this is much.
I've heard it's a little better, but more expensive.
You have to pay for your labels.
In Oklahoma, it's just as fungible, it's just as problematic. They let you build your own spreadsheets and send it to them, it actually makes it easier. You don't have to use any user interface. But other than that, it's just as problematic.
Do better, but.
We can still do BioTrack. I mean, we had to sit down with BioTrack about helping them do better for New Mexico. So, but my partner is a really high level programmer. He does data systems for hospitals and places. He knows more than me about that shit, but he's very high level at that. And we've had conversations with BioTrack, and they're very open for us to working with them to help build a better system. But they're a bunch of bullshit. We'd rather build our own system and make it for New Mexico. It doesn't it's all well and good. They really like what we were saying because my partner is just as good with the IT stuff as I am with cannabis. Everybody loves it, but it doesn't matter. I think if we can do something for ourselves and he's more than willing to do it, if we can all just get behind it and use the material, we do it for free. We want to do it for free. We don't want it to be a thing that you're making. It's ridiculous what we have to do with BioTrack. It's insane.
I think the contracts for BioTrack are coming up.
They were just mentioning that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Theoretically. Theoretically, right, yeah. Allegedly.
There was a sales rep from Metric at that last hearing in Santa Fe a couple Mondays ago. there was a woman there that was just a sales rep for, so there's companies spotting us and they're pushing to be, they're aware, but I mean, I can't even imagine the process of changing them. They're doing this stuff.
On the national calls that I'm on.
Makes their site.
Right, totally. You have to work with everyone.
So we just make the system accept the data packets, and then until we can get everything switched over, and then now it's all of our data system. We just make the system accept the data packets. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
awesome. Well, if there's no more testimonies, this wraps everything up for us, guys. I really do appreciate, we all appreciate you guys coming out. We stayed a little later than normal, but give yourselves a round of applause for sticking it out. This is gonna make a whole lot of difference, guys. It's up to us to better our industry. You know, it's not gonna better itself without our help. So this is why it's important that we have these things. A huge shout out to my new friend over here, Fausto. This is his place. Thank you so much for hosting us. He kindly made us some food. If you guys haven't already, hit up the table. There's some snacks over there. Thank you to you guys, Chad, Val, everybody, Karina. Thank you, Nicole.
Enjoy networking.
Yes, have fun, guys.
What we would like from this meeting also is for all of you to become advocates. To be
Yes.
Make sure people that have not signed up. Okay. There you go. Oh yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you again. I have no clue. Oh, a bunch of people were in the chat. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. Holy crap.
Wait, sorry guys, we had the PowerPoint up and we're going based off of that. Thank you. Shout out to everybody who's still on here.
Bye.
Wait, let's get everybody in the picture. We
Okay.
gotta
Okay.
get a
Good.
picture.
All right, guys.
Wait, this is Val. Karina, come on.
Yeah.
It's so
warm in here.
Yeah. It's getting hot in her. All right. Here we go. Oh, yes.
Come here, Val, real quick.
You good?
Hi to YouTube, guys.
Nicole's getting the scene set.
Come here and say hi to YouTube.
Oh.
Come here.
I guess we'll do this.
Val. Oh.
Oh, really fast. Give me
Real
1
fast,
second.
sorry. One second.
Here we go. Come on in, Val. Ladies up front. Okay.
There she is. Say hi right here, guys.
Okay. Where do I go?
This way?
Right there, Nicole.
Okay, here you go. Oh.
Right, which way?
Okay.
Watch it.
Okay, just Tracy. Okay.
Putting Val right now in the middle. Wires.
I'm gonna put a flash on, all right?
Dream team.
One more silly one. You want to do a silly one?
Yeah. Gangster grab.
What's up, brother?
Oh, that's okay.
I'll do it.
That's trash. No, you don't want that. Leave it there. Great job, Val.
Oh, it is. That's one reason why I want them to do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an old fuck like me.
Yeah. How fuck are you?
36?
36?
Yeah, 36.
Oh, damn, you look young.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that.
You look young. Oh my God, she's like 25.
24.
Oh, you're 24?
Oh, yeah, we're still live, by the way.
Are we? Oh,
Sorry,
we go
guys.
really fast. All right, guys.
Bye,
We'll see you later.
guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you again. And we're good.
Hey, high five.